All right, here we are. We're live. It's we were
We're
goofing
right on
around,
time.
so we're like 2 minutes late,
We're
and
right on time.
that's which means we're right on time. It is Wednesday. It's 5:02 Eastern here, and which means it's brain break time. We got some stuff to talk about, maybe, possibly. Apparently, I shared an article with you and said we should talk about it, and I forgot what that is. So that'll be fun. And Dave, I'd really, really like to give at least one thing away today, if not like four.
Done.
It's been a while. We haven't been as good about giving stuff away. I'm not saying we might not go deep today, but
I
we're
got
going to
you.
give stuff away too. So anyway, all right. So we'll be back. If you can, drop in your comments. Let us know where you're at, where you're listening from. What are you escaping from or getting the brain break from today? If you got a drink or a snack, let us know what you're drinking on or snacking on. And we'll be right back in about 60 seconds. Dave, how are you, brother?
I am doing all right, man. It is Cinco de Mayo.
It
This
is
a
Cinco de
day.
Mayo. Yes, this
Yes.
is a day. Awesome. All right, we got some folks hanging out today. Megan, what is going on? Megan, Brienne's here. I believe this is Elijah in the private group. Good to see you, brother. Spina is here. Chelsea just took over the Instagram. I don't know if you saw her Instagram take over yesterday, but she
It's
was
been
all
fun
over
to
the
watch.
place.
Yeah.
Mike, good to see you, brother. Nikki's just stopping super fast to win everything, and then she's out of here. Last volleyball game of the season. Well, good luck to your daughter. Good to hear. What's up, Adam? Good to see you, brother. I'm surprised you're not out golfing, although it is rainy here. Ray says, yo, yo, yo.
Just checking
I
in
love
to
it.
make sure we're on our game.
Just checking in. So what is going on in Detroit, Michigan? Well, you're not Detroit.
Little,
In Michigan, in Grand Blanc, Michigan.
There
Well,
we
what do you
go.
got there?
A nice little strawberry margarita. Come on
Ooh,
now.
we're
Right?
both going super hardcore drinks today, huh? Got my red, white, and berry. I just can't get enough. I was telling Amy the other day, I'm like, I grab them sometimes, like forgetting that they're alcohol. I'm just like, I need a drink, and this sounds delicious. And
Do you remember after you drink one of those delicious cans super fast? Is that when it hits you and you're like, oh, yeah, that was alcohol?
So I said that to Amy, and she's like, yeah, I know. I don't know what that meant, but I have a feeling it's what you were alluding to. So, anyway, so first off, can I show off my shirt?
You can.
Do you know what that is?
I see rock, paper, scissors. Oh, it's like who wins what in rock, paper, scissors.
No, there's two edition. Do you watch Big Bang Theory?
I don't know.
Oh, it's rock, paper, scissors, lizard Spock. You need to, Dave. Dave, after we're done with this,
Okay,
you need
I
to
got homework.
go over to YouTube and look it up. Do literally just put rock, paper, scissors, lizard Spock. Sheldon breaks down like what it is, and this is the formula for, because Spock, like, paper disproves Spock. What is it? Lizard poison Spock. Spock vaporizes rock. And then, as it always does, I don't know. He does it really fast. It's hilarious. But the kids got me it for Christmas, and then we watched it like 8 times after because they didn't know exactly what it was for. So
that's awesome.
Anyway,
I will check it out. I will do my
someone do me a favor without leaving us. Find that YouTube link and drop it in here so everyone can appreciate it, and then Dave can as well. So, what's the one is as it always does? Paper covers rock. I don't know what it is. Anyway, I like water. Yeah, the water balloon, fire and water balloon. Yeah.
That was good.
Oh, I need a shirt for that. We need to get that shirt there. That's Ray. That was really good.
That was so
really
good.
good.
You get an A.
You get an A. Well done.
Is that Ray talking about great? Oh, no.
It was not good. I don't even know what we're talking about.
I don't know what it is.
That's I
added
one.
What's
right
up,
there.
everybody? Dave Schmitto here.
Okay,
what's up,
creepy.
everybody? Dave Schmitto here.
That is creepy. That is creepy.
All right, so we've got some people are dropping it in there. Who is that? Brienne dropping in there, Darren dropping in there, Ray, love you too. I've got this thing figured out now. So the Ray Hewart soundboard bank is back, and I'm going to be working with Chris to get all the good stuff. That's her. Anyway, all right. So where do you want to go first? Are we going to go? I feel like the Inc. article might make us go serious. Do you want to not go serious first?
Can we? Because it's on my mind.
Sure. What was? I don't remember what it was.
Make me wait, because that's what it's all about. It's all about just wait.
Oh gosh, yeah, that was that. Yeah,
so
I forgot about that.
So you sent this to me. I don't even know, 4 or 5 days ago, and said, "Hey, just a heads up, I want to talk about this." And so my head starts spinning. I'm like, "Okay, is this Jeff's passive way of saying, Dave, you need to read this because I'm going to be analyzing you, and I want you to be prepared because we're going to go live and we're going to talk about some of your issues."
No, that's not what it was.
Okay, because I've been prepared to go to battle about this.
Okay, well that's interesting. So no, so that's just in my mornings, my morning routine is I get up, and when I get my cup of coffee, I sit down with my iPad and I read. I go to like news stuff for a little bit, and then I do I find some articles that I want to shout on social media and stuff like that. And one of the things that I have in my Feedly, which gives me my feed of things that are potentially good sources to share from, is Inc. So every now and then something comes through, and I don't read a ton of them honestly, because a lot of them are like, there's like 15 different articles from Inc. that are all like the 4 different things, the 7 different things, the 10 different things, the 6 different things, 5 ways to tell that you're emotionally, and they're all the same exact article, just written different ways basically. But for some reason I clicked on this one. This was like one about emotional intelligence, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it was talking about that the secret behind it is just wait a minute.
Just wait a minute.
Just wait a minute. So I was curious because I was reading it, and I've heard that before. Wait to send the email tomorrow and stuff like that. And we've had this conversation about emails we've received and stuff like that. And I was curious if you did, because I realized I do that a lot, where I will write something up, I will type something out, whether it's a text, whether it could be a ping to, in our internal communication with the team. It could be a comment on a task, it could be something, a social media post, an email, a text to family, whatever. Well, I'll write it out, and I will stop and I will wait, and I'll come back later. Because I'm like, wait a minute, am I still going to feel this way and still want to send this and say this the right way in an hour or tomorrow? I was just curious whether I think what I was doing in that moment there, I was like, what if Dave does this or not? Or if Dave, because you on your social media, like, you speak your mind a lot, you share a lot of things that aren't, that are different opinions that sometimes start, conversations, your whole tag in, tag out thing. And then you had to put out the video saying, hey guys, I wasn't saying that you can do everything right, because everyone, so like, do you do that? Do you find that you do that? And if so, in what situations or in what forums?
I don't know should I wait before I reply to this? Because
you might,
there was a part.
Well,
so
you
I was right a little bit, because you did send this to me thinking, Dave needs to read this. You just articulated.
Sorry.
So there, I feel like the guest who's on tonight for Teacher Appreciation could have something to share about this.
Yes.
So, yes. When she comes on, is it Ray hanging out with whoever's hanging out with her? I think needs.
Let's talk about that for a half second. The guest you're talking about is Mandy Freilich.
Yes.
Who not only understands this from a viewpoint of, she probably talks about this and teaches this and educates us a lot. Mandy also like really understands like the brain science behind how we think and how we feel things and how emotions drive us and like that. So that's, by the way, that's tonight, 6 p.m. Eastern time. So it's right after this. Right. And that is Ray. Ray will be live with her.
Okay. So Ray, if you're watching, ask Mandy that question, because I'm curious to hear her thoughts on this. So when I was reading this article, there was a lot of things that were intriguing to me. Number one, that it was really just based off of when you want to respond to somebody else, not when you want to necessarily initiate the conversation.
Sure.
You wait? It's not like when the emotion first comes up and you want to reach out to somebody, should you wait? It's if somebody says something to you,
yes.
When should you respond? And it was really slanted towards if you start to feel in any way hostile, negative,
Yep.
or emotional, and your emotions are driving your
It was
reactions.
definitely more geared towards potential conflict than
Correct.
just general everyday. But I guess for you, my spin on like was when I talk about like your posts and stuff is that I know a lot of times that's triggered by either a conversation you run into or someone else's tweet or post or an article you read or whatever that springs an idea on you and you share it. Like that's so similar. But still also like in same question to you, like if you get angry, like if you hold off or not.
And I think you see the backside of how I tend to react to a lot of these things. I respond, but I respond to you when somebody else says something. I'm like, hey Jeff, oh my gosh, this is what I want to say, and you're just like, yeah, I got you. But then I feel like, okay, I got it out. Ray
does the same thing. Ray does the same thing. She's like, hey, I don't want to respond to so and so because I feel like I'm just upset, so I'm going to say this all to you instead. And I'm like, all right. So maybe that's. Is that a gift I have? Is that a gift or a curse?
I don't know. I just maybe it's our way of passively saying those things to you without like I meant to say this to somebody else, Jeff.
To my friend in Canada.
No, it's just I do have a hard time. I mean, I would even go back 3, 4, 5 years ago. I took the bait every single time, whether it was face to face, whether it was through social media, no matter what it was. If somebody came at me, I came back even harder. And I felt like it was my moral obligation to not let people get away with saying falsehoods or being inaccurate. And I was the truth police. And when I realized that when my emotions came up, it wasn't because I disagreed with what somebody was thinking. It was because I was taking it as an affront of this person thinks they're smarter than me. And I have to show them that I am the smartest one in the virtual room, in any room. And I had to be the person with the answers.
So it wasn't moral obligation. It was
correct.
Ego.
It was 100%
egotistically driven.
Ego.
Yeah.
100%. And it was just,
Gotcha.
it was that was all it was. It was the ego of me having to prove that my brain could work faster than them and I could outsmart them. I could outmaneuver them. I could lawyer them up and I could win every argument. That's all it was. And I would oftentimes lose sight of what we were even disagreeing about. They could come back at me and say, I agree with you 100%. I was wrong. And then I would respond back with, you're right. I was right. You were wrong. And then we started arguing about that. It was all about me trying to be right in the moment.
I'm really glad I didn't know you back then.
You would not have.
I don't think we'd be doing this. I don't think we'd be doing this.
Well, but even now, I still battle that. I battle that. But
I'm sure. I think we all do. Like
I've gotten myself to a place where one, I acknowledge it, which is huge.
Yes.
And I no longer feel the need to. Now I'm comfortable just reaching out to somebody else and saying, "This is how I feel about this," and as long as I can get that out, I feel calm. I feel calm. I mean, you truly have been the recipient of quite a few of those messages from me in the last year where I say, I can't believe this. And most of the time it's somebody is taking something that I've said or somebody, it's oftentimes not even people disagreeing with me. It's that same ego thing of I want to respond because somebody's trying to take credit for X, Y, Z. But then it's all ego driven. So,
yeah. It's a good question. So first off, Marissa said that's honest, and I think that's a huge thing to do. Is like that's one thing about you is you do recognize those things and you share them a lot. I love that you and I are able to do that a lot, where we share the fact that we have so many flaws and gaps. But that's a good question. Like, what was the catalyst? Was this the same catalyst? Like same time, like with the principal award and everything? Because I know that shifted so much of how you think, or did this stay in and it's taken longer?
I think
we're diving in today.
Here we go. Here we go. Ray, turn off the brain break, Ray, because we're going deep here. I think it's like the onion, with multiple layers. There've been layer upon layer upon layer that's
like an ogre.
Removed. Oh, like an ogre, absolutely. Like an ogre, yeah. Ogres and onions, they both have layers. Yeah,
they have layers. Yeah.
For me, the first layer that I had to get through was just removing the mask and allowing myself to be real with people and allowing people to see the real vulnerability and not having to always have that arrogant, ego driven, whatever it was, that truly was just a stiff arm. I didn't want people to see any weakness. I didn't want people to see any flaw. It was, I always have to be right. I always have to have all the answers to all the things. And the first time I was able to just remove that layer and say, I am wrong. And I'm not only wrong in this moment, I'm wrong a lot. I am wrong a whole lot. And there are things that I've learned and things that I've grown. It's allowed me to start to recognize I don't have to constantly get in that battle to try to prove that I'm right, because that was just a defensive tactic that I had. It was just something I did to keep people away. Honestly, I did not want people getting into my bubble, into my world, to see the real me. So I would do everything I could to push them away, even if that was just picking a fight unnecessarily.
We had some comments coming in about the deep thoughts going on here. It's taken everything in me not to hit the music, by the way.
I know. But this is something, I know it's about me right now, because my pride and arrogance it's always about me. But I have a hard time believing that it is just me that deals with this, because I mean, we see something like this manifest all the time. I know we have a lot of teachers that join us in the chat. I think teachers experience this all the time as well in their classrooms, when a 12-year-old knows more than they do, and they will do anything they can to shut down that 12-year-old, or an administrator, a leader in a school will do anything they can to shut down the opinions of other teachers in the building. There's this need to have the answers, to have that authority, to put up any kind of guard, and to not admit your flaws and your weaknesses, because it makes you feel weak. And that's a scary place for people to be.
It's because and Marissa sitting there, and this actually loops back to several weeks ago. Like, it's because we care what everyone else thinks.
We do.
And if a bunch of kids start talking how that 12-year-old knows more than Mr. Schmittou, well, that's going to get back to your colleagues possibly,
Jeff,
or just them.
Dr. Schmittou, Jeff, it's Dr. Schmittou. Get it right.
It is. It's Dr. Schmittou. I apologize, Dave.
That's the total point right there, right? We put up these titles and these images of ourselves that we need other people that we want other people to perceive. But the reality is, I heard a quote a few years ago that really resonated with me. When you get yourself to the place where you're finally revealing your weaknesses, you're actually not revealing anything new to anybody around you. They already saw it all. They knew it all. You're releasing yourself of that burden of carrying it around.
Megan, I think I don't know that Dave, correct me. I don't know that you were talking about when they have necessarily like a bad behavior or anything like that. It's when they might just actually know more, right? For whatever that might be about. Like, I'm trying to get an example. Like, I can't imagine anyone knowing more than anything about anything than you. But, but a kid scoring you because maybe they studied a topic that you were touching on, and it's a small piece of what you're touching on, but they happen to be really, really passionate about it and know about it because they're, whatever. And they bring something out or correct you because you make mistakes. And
I'll use you as an example. I'm going to spin this to you. I'll start small. Just like before we went live, we were talking about the microphone and headset and who's. It'd be easy for me to say, Jeff, you're wrong. I can see where my cords are plugged in, but you're the expert in this, not me. I got to listen to that. Or even when it comes to business stuff, I am an absolute idiot when it comes to how to run a business. I don't have the foggiest idea. I've done my own things for a while, but you are way more versed in that than I am. But it would be easy for us to get into a conversation when we're talking about different ways to do things. For me, just to stand my ground and say, I'm right. I've been doing this for how many years? How many years have you been doing? But Jeff, the reality is you are the expert in this. I should listen to you and your advice and your wisdom. This is your world.
But I think even more important than that is that we should be in a conversation where we can both listen to each other and have a conversation around it. Because while yes, maybe technically I've been in it more, that doesn't really invalidate your thoughts and your opinions and your viewpoint on it. So with that's this one,
bring it back to the article here. This idea of just wait. The idea is that if you're starting to feel angst, if you're starting to feel frustration, that you should not necessarily respond right away. You should have enough emotional strength or emotional intelligence to bite your tongue and at least sleep on it before you decide if you're going to respond. I'm curious to your thoughts, like when you're in the moment, when you're in the conversation with somebody. It's not digital. It's not virtual. You can't act like you didn't read it. You can't act act like I didn't see the text. You're in the conversation with somebody and somebody does something to push your buttons because they're trying to just push your buttons. Do you have the ability to wait and just bite your tongue and circle back to it later on or brush it off?
Yeah, and I guess it depends on if I did that very specific. If I know for a fact that they're trying to push my buttons, then I don't know that I would have as good of a as strong of ability. But I try to, and I don't always do it well, but I try to, like when I have a conversation with someone, if we have a disagreement, I try to pause and process. Not sure I'm successful all the time, but I think it goes into there. And it makes if someone's just trying to push your buttons, then like, it's versus it depends on person's age and their age, their relation to you, their importance or non-importance in your life. So that's going to depend on how you do it. But I think overall you're going to have a better experience in the end if you do pause. And if for no other reason than to breathe for a half second, so that maybe even if you do end up coming back at them, maybe you'll be slightly less aggressive about it. I don't, there's a lot of ways you can look at that, but yeah, I mean, I think about more in a conversation where it's not necessarily that I know that the person's pushing buttons, but we're just in a disagreement and possibly a heated disagreement. To really, and I think that for me, I view that's sort of like, it's part of my trying to respect that other person of like, I'm not just going to come at you. I'm going to take a minute and try to respond. Again, don't always do it well, but I try to.
So what do you do? So I'm going to take this to social media. What do you do if somebody does post something that it's not like it's an opinion. It is just completely inaccurate. It is a falsehood. It's not based off of reality. Do you correct it or do you just let it go?
Depends on person.
Okay.
If I do correct it, I go and I make sure that I'm 100% sure that it's false, and I find some sort of something that proves that, and then I share it with them in the sense of, and with the goal and phrase it the best I can is I'm just trying to help, not trying to shoot you down, not trying to whatever. It's just, hey, just so you're not sure if you saw this or not, but this theory was actually debunked a while back. Da 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 da. A lot of times though, in recent history, I kind of let them go depending on what it is, because sometimes it depends on the person. And some people that I'm connected to in certain things, I'm like, they're just so far gone that this is never going to get sorted out on a digital platform. If we were sitting, together having a drink or something, then maybe we could have that conversation. But so I kind of pick. That's picking your battles.
So what about the teacher who has somebody attack them online or say something about their ability to teach, or the building leader who has people post things that are inaccurate about their building or their workplace? Do those deserve a response?
Yeah, I think those do deserve a response, a respectful response. I think more importantly, those deserve investigation into why that person is feeling the need to post that. And what drove, because I say it all the time. This is something that Gary Vee says a lot that just hit me from the very first day I ever heard him say, is that people who are taking the time to post some crap like that, typically they're hurting in some way. Mm-hmm. Might not be really obvious, but they're in some sort of pain, and that's manifesting into anger, and for whatever reason they had to post that. So if that's someone in your community that's posting about the way your schools handling things or the way you are teaching or whatever, that's coming from a place of, it might be coming across of frustration, anger, arrogance, ignorance, whatever, but it's coming from a place of pain of some sort, that they're either, and it may not be very obvious pain. Like it could be from a community member who did not have a great experience at your school 50 years ago and is still taking it out on that school. Mm-hmm. And there may not be anything you can ever do, but rather than coming back at them, trying to shoot them down, or you're wrong, you don't know any better, it's publicly say something around the idea of, I appreciate, the comment we're doing, and whatever, explaining how either, not necessarily how they're wrong, but how you are correcting whatever they're arguing against, maybe sharing resources, and then reaching out to them and figuring out, can we meet? Can we talk? And that's not always going to work either. I know plenty of admins and people who have had those conversations and successfully set up conversations and had multiple of them with people in the community, and it never works out. But it's never gonna end better if you come at them fully loaded, if that makes sense. In the sense of like if you shoot back at them, right? Even if you're 100% right, it's probably not going to end well because there's a really, really good chance they're not the only one that feels that way.
Well, and it's the public spectacle of it that I think can oftentimes elevate things beyond reason. One of the best pieces of advice I got in this regard came from a few years ago. We were working with a marketing firm in my former district, and they told us, you're going to get people that are going to respond to you. They're going to post things about your district, and it is your responsibility to set the record straight and to make sure that people understand the story. But you also don't want to engage in dialogue. You don't want it to be now 15 people are coming to their aid, and you've got 5 people on your side, and it turns into this running dialogue. They said it's pretty simple. Just reach out either through a private message or if you have their contact information and set the record straight, and then jump back into the comments of whatever was said and just publicly state, I am so glad that we were able to connect one-on-one to set the record straight. If you ever need to reach me again, you know how to contact me. And then it's done.
Yep. Absolutely.
I loved it.
I'm only leaving this up there because that was Ray and she said something nice. So I just wanted to mention that.
I want to address that too. I saw that as well.
This. Okay.
Yeah. That Jeff always approaches stuff with helping. The way he phrases stuff is honestly the best. I always have him help me with wording. So I'm going to ask you a very direct question. Okay. This idea of the whole poking the bear thing. Is there a time and a place to
never poke a bear, dude? They will eat you and claw you to death.
But is there a time to just drop a little nugget that is going to stir up the hornet's nest or to infuriate the bear or whatever the case may be, and then just let stuff happen? Or is it all about how it's phrased and how it's worded?
I think your intention is the most important part of that.
Okay.
If your intention is just to stir stuff up, then it's not going to work.
Yeah.
If your intention is to listen and figure out why that stirs people up so that then you can better address whatever that issue is, then that makes a lot of sense. And my thing is I think if you're going to drop something like that, especially on social media in particular, if you're going to drop something like that, like you need to be ready to be in the comments to engage. Right. Because if you drop something like that, and 50 people comment in the first 30 minutes and you don't say anything back to any of them, that's what the conversation is going to become about now. Be like, oh, Dave has big opinions until people disagree with him. Then he just runs away, right? So if you're going to do something and you're pretty sure it's probably going to stir up some people, like be ready to have good conversations and don't come at them aggressively. Come at them, with inquiries and talking to them. So when someone disagrees, like those are the people you should be talking to the most. Like I've had conversations with them people. I recall someone that I know that was doing some decent things, and he put out something that got some heat, and it was not an ill intention. It was just an oversight by him, and it was like 60, 70, 80, something like that. I mean, quite a few comments like in the first hour, and 98% of them were negative. He responded to, liked, and retweeted the four, maybe 5 that were positive and didn't say anything to anyone else. Mm. And I messaged him and said, hey, like I've been there to an extent. You need to address what you said and reach out to these people that are coming, not the ones that are coming at you with curse words and stuff like that. Like that's just whatever. But like you need to address people that like there's a lot of people sharing very valid reasons for why they didn't like what you post. And you might be able to actually build some really great conversation around this. And he didn't. And it went on, and that became from 80 to like 2 something, and 250, and then he deleted it. He never addressed it. And I'm like, all of those people, every single one of those people that posted negatively could have possibly became friends, fans, followers, maybe even, partners, whatever. But instead, they all understand that actually now they think that you posted it for the reason that they thought, which is the bad reason, which is not why you posted it. And they know for a fact that you're not willing to have any kind of difficult conversation. You just run away because that's exactly what you did.
So, okay. And
so if you're going to post something that you think might trigger some stuff in a conversation, be ready for the conversation or else don't do it.
So
that's my personal opinion.
Yeah, 100%. And Ray's kind of triggering me right now eating Oreos while we're having this conversation because Oreos are so overrated. Whole other conversation probably for another day, but Oreos seriously are overrated. All they do is like tear up the roof of your mouth, unless they're in ice cream and it's cookies and cream. So Ray, if you're eating ice cream, let us know. But if it's just Oreos, go back to peanuts. With With you, Jeff, I'm curious. Do you ever get frustrated when people take credit for your work? Is that a trigger for you? No.
No.
Do you
I
see
won't.
it as a compliment?
That's a lie. I try really hard not to, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't ever got frustrated. I think I get over it faster than most people probably.
Okay.
But I mean, but I've been in the business world and the creative world for a lot of times, and the best creators steal other people's creatives.
Sure.
Like that's just like it's inspiration. That's how they, and I get it. And there's the whole, the biggest or strongest form of flattery, right? And stuff like right, biggest compliment and stuff like that. I didn't say that word. I forget what the phrase actually was, but like that, and we've talked about that a lot as our brand going. Hey, look, like some people are going to grab it and run. Some people are going to claim this. Some people are going to do whatever, Mike, and it's going to happen more and more if we continue to grow, and that's okay. Like it is, it's just what's going to happen. I think I get more frustrated if. I don't know. I definitely get frustrated with that, but I think I try really hard not to because I see that there's no point to it, in my opinion. And for me, I guess if someone takes credit for work I've done, that's one thing. I guess I was kind of leaning more like if someone doesn't pay share the appreciation for something, I try really hard not to do that because that to me, if that's why I did it, then I did it for the wrong reason. Mm-hmm. And I hope I'm not getting off top of this. Like my mom was huge on thank you cards. I can't believe you haven't got your thank cards. I'm like, you didn't tell grandma, thank you for the card and da-da-da. And I'm like, what if I never did, Mom? And we had this conversation once and it didn't go well. And she's like, what do you mean? What if you didn't? I said, what if I never thanked them? Well, grandma would probably be upset and be hurt. I'm like, then she sent me the card for the wrong reason. I'm like, if she sent it because she loved me, then it doesn't matter if I tell her thanks. And this was just my theory there. I'm like, if she sent it so that I would thank her, then it had nothing to do with me. She was just looking for positive. Then I know my grandma did send it for the right. She sends it for the right reason. We had this conversation with my mom. I'm like, look, if that's why you're sending stuff, then stop sending stuff to people. Because I don't like having cards laying around any. They just get in the way. I end up recycling them in a couple of days anyway. But like for me, like if you're gonna do something, if you do something for someone with the expectation of them thanking you, you can expect them to because that's a polite thing to do. But if they don't, and that makes you either not want to do it again, or resent them, or angry, then you did it because you were trying to make yourself feel good, not because you wanted to help that person. Just my opinion.
No, it's a great opinion. I'm wrestling right now, Jeff, because I'm trying to figure out what your trigger is. Like, what does anything fire you up? Does anything get you frustrated, or do you truly just? Well, okay,
Ray gets me frustrated,
especially Ray eating Oreos. Yes, because I don't feel like you really have a trigger. I know we've talked about this before, that you truly do see the good in all people, and you really truly do assume the positive. You assume positive intent, and I don't think you think people are ever out there trying to cause harm, and you're willing to have a conversation and really get to the root of things. I don't see you ever really getting frustrated.
Oh, I get frustrated. I just tend to get frustrated more often with technology or myself. Okay. But no, with people too. I think one of the triggers for me definitely is like if I have exhausted myself to try and fix an issue for someone or problem for someone, and they just refuse to even try to fix it with me, that'll get me frustrated. Now I still I get frustrated, but then I circle back around once I breathe. I circle back around the fact that that's clearly a sign that they're just further in pain or in whatever than I thought they were, and it's not working. And maybe I'm not going to be the one that's going to be able to help them, right? But if I try to help someone, I try to do something for someone, and they just never and it never clicks, that'll frustrate me. But a lot of it's more frustrating. Like, why? What am I not doing? Like, why are they not getting this? Like, I already told them this. Like, someone asks for an opinion or an idea. I'm like, hey, how did you do that? How should I do this? And I'm like, here's exactly how to do it. And then they go and they do it completely different. And in my opinion only, they did it worse. And I'm like, or made it harder on themselves or whatever. I'm like, I told you. And then they complain later. I'm like, I told you how to do it. Not that it might have worked out horribly if you did it my way too. But I'm like, don't complain to me when I do that. I think that complaining is my trigger.
So okay.
Someone complains to me about their life, their job, whatever, and they're not willing to do anything about it. Like, I think here's the thing that triggers me more than anything, Dave, is Dave Schmittou saying, I hate my job. My boss doesn't respect me. I get no appreciation. I work forever. I don't get paid. I can't find a job anywhere. I've been looking for a year now. I can't find anything. in my area, and I'm like, so move to Ohio. I'm not moving to Ohio. I'm like, oh, well then stop freaking complaining. I can't move to Ohio. I'm like, yeah, you could. You could. Might not be easy, but you could. So I hate when people complain but refuse to change because they're like, oh, I can't go to a smaller house. I can't.
Why is that a frustration of yours if it's their life? Is it because you feel like
because it's annoying?
I've got the answer. Just do what I say. Is it because you feel like you have the answer and they're just not willing to listen to you?
No, I think it's just annoying. I don't know how to explain it, but for me, it's because like I guess I don't know. Maybe that's what I don't know. I don't feel like I have the answer because my answer might not be the right answer. But I'm like, I just don't like when people complain but don't do anything to change it. Like,
do you get frustrated having to repeat yourself?
No, because I make people repeat themselves all the time because I'm deaf, so I can't. I'm not sure if that's what you meant or not.
No, that's not what I mean at all. So with okay, I'll just use this is kind of like an inner circle thing. So whatever, like in Basecamp, I mess up how to use Basecamp every day. Like assigning tasks, not assigning, whatever, take my name off the task. Like you have to repeat directions to me over and over and over again. You getting frustrated with that yet?
It depends on the day. Some days that will no seriously though. Some days that's like, oh, whatever. I won't even think about it. I'll just fix it and move on. Other days, yeah, that will irritate me. But again, it's sort of irritation, frustration, and then a reflection of, okay, was it communicated well enough, or what's the reason behind it? Is there, and I know that like there's a bunch of other things that you check daily and stuff too. And I'm like, all right, well, and I think I have a trouble because then I think my patience sometimes is way too long. Because I'm like, there's got to be a point where I'm like, hey, Dave, like this can't happen anymore. Yeah. And I don't know if I know where that point is.
And that was gonna be my rebuttal. Is
I do know that my point's like way down here. I know Ray's is like here, so like like she'll probably get you first, but I don't know. So
and she has,
but it does. One of you're just speaking about Basecamp. So Basecamp, for you guys watching, is our project management tool that we use inside the team. And one of the things we put out, we shared it out like a assigned task for everyone recently, or in like a month ago or so, about how to remove yourself from a Basecamp task when we assign to multiple people. And then on that task that explained, and literally the purpose of the task was for you to read and understand and say that you understood how to remove yourself from the Basecamp task. And you're supposed to comment to say you did it and then remove yourself. There's like 5 people who commented that they understood it and then didn't remove themselves. I was frustrated that day, but then I'm like, but then again, I reflect back. I'm like, yeah, but those 4 people were also full-time teachers.
Okay, so
they got stuff going on. They got
this is the crux of my questioning then. So when you always assume the best and you always assume positive intentions, but yet actions don't prove themselves, is there a point where you do need to draw that line in the sand and say, okay, now there's got, whether it's corrective action or feedback, or you have to just say, okay, the actions speak and I have to correct this.
Yeah. And I'm really bad at that. So seriously, like I'm just, I struggle with that. Like,
not because you shy away from it, just because you truly have great intentions.
Because of everything you said before to a fault. Like, because I have a lot of patience with people. And I have optimism for people, and I have a lot of empathy, and I will let that go and go and go. And typically, and I sit, and this is serious. So everyone who thinks I'm joking at this point, I'm being serious. Like, and I am so grateful for having Ray as a partner in all this, because she's quicker to get there and sees that line better than I do. Where she's like, hey, like I totally get it because I love Dave too, but like, this is time 15. Like we need to correct this. We don't need to be mean. It's not because Dave's dumb or anything like that. We just need to correct it. Like we need to figure out why Dave's not getting this so we can fix it. And where I'm like, nah, we can go to 30. Like he's a good dude. He'll get there. But the action may not ever be.
And I think this is, again, that whole yin and yang, and you've got some people around you that compliment you as well, because you look at the person holistically. Whatever you want to be, but you look at the person holistically and you say that is a good person. And Ray looks at that specific task and says, yeah, that's a good person not doing the task. Let's correct the task.
Exactly.
Never attaches any judgment or blame anywhere. Yep. So I think there's this good match.
Yeah. And that's sort of one, like, and that was a great way to explain that. Cause that's sort of, I struggle a lot of times to disconnect the action from the person.
Yeah.
And realize that the action can be corrected even if the person, you know what I mean? Even if the person, like, because the action might not be good or where it needs to be, even if the person is, right? And so, and I think I'm better at that sometimes than I am other times, but I think that's why, but I think that's part of why, like, I don't get as frustrated, but I don't know.
Well, I want to put a disclaimer out here for people right now. If for some reason I'm not on here next week, which I think I'm looking at the calendar, it's not because Jeff finally just found his limit and said, I'm finding somebody else to replace Dave. Just putting that out here. There will be some sort of other public statement when we get to that point. Okay. Yes.
Yeah. We'll publicly share that. You are gone next week though, aren't you?
I am. Yeah. Yep.
Oh yeah. I got a special treat for everyone next week.
I was just looking at the document to see who it is too. And it's kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So it'll be good next week. It'll be fun. I got to figure out what we're going to do.
I think this is a conversation you can continue next week.
Yeah. I was just thinking that, like, we can continue this conversation next week too. So there was an article I read this morning too. I actually, no joke. I think it was from Inc. And I was thinking, I'm like, oh, I should share this with Dave. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. I already shared one that I don't remember. So I'm trying to remember what it was about today. Oh man, I forget. I don't remember. So let's talk about something else because I'm not going to remember. So,
okay.
Let's do this. So let's give something away real quick. I'm going to give away I'm going to do a duo. I'm going to give away a Teach Better t-shirt and a Teach Better book package, like duo package, whatever. Yeah, package combo. To whoever can tell me earlier. Dave and I were talking. Dave was talking actually about himself. We mentioned onions in there, and I made a reference to a movie. Tell me what that movie is, and I'm going to send you a shirt and Teach Better book. So
well done.
Yeah, Alex. You know, we've been going back and forth. Alex Ray's been trying to stop it, although today she was in the conversation, so I'm taking that as approval.
Granted, she did try to lighten the mood by talking Oreos, but
if we're being completely honest, though, Dave, if you remember like how this all started when it was cocktails and randomness, like our randomness wasn't always goofball. It was like it was random,
real conversations,
but we were having real conversations, and that's where we're like, hey, we should go live at some point. So like. This is getting back to our roots.
Take us full circle.
Get back to our roots here in a sense. I like that we can goof around and have a good time, but I love having these types of conversations because I think, just like kind of analyzing stuff, and every time I'm kind of like, oh man, I don't know whether I'm ready to make improvements or go to therapy at this point, but I feel like I just had a session.
That's why I always come prepared with something in my hand here. But speaking of that. Carly Spina. Of course, Spina's a winner.
Carly, I know I have your address, but make sure you email me so I don't forget, please. Danielle, I'm so happy that you love the Hue camera. Yes. Go ahead.
I got myself a new Teach Better shirt this week.
Did you really?
But I forgot to wear it today, though, because I don't know.
I know what you got.
I'm going to wait. Yeah.
I know what you got.
It's got a little hashtag on it.
I know what you got.
I'm officially on Team Jeff now. Hashtag Team Jeff.
Yeah. I can't believe you actually said that. Like.
Yeah. But,
I almost wore my Schmitto shirt today, but I didn't. I went with this instead.
It's all good. But I'm kind of like LeBron, go from Cleveland to Miami, back to Cleveland to LA. I kind of just bounce around and I follow the rings. I follow the championship, and wherever I'm feeling the love right then, that's where I'm going to go. So
it's interesting you bring up LeBron because every now and then he needs to wait a minute.
Well, he's been getting himself in a little trouble lately.
Other thing. Actually, so funny enough, earlier, so this is actually I changed into this shirt because I had my Blab shirt on, but it's like big and weird. So I'm gonna like to wear around the house.
So
did you know Blab?
I had no idea what Blab was. I saw that
shirt. So I wear it every night.
Comfy shirt.
I wear it all the time because like just around the house, typically like, under a sweatshirt because it's super comfy. And it's like ridiculously soft. But Blab was like live video, like bringing people on screen stuff before anyone else did it. They were the first ones. Now. What's interesting, and I don't think we've talked about it on here. We've talked about it in other conversations about how like is Clubhouse going to survive, or is one of the other bigger guys because Facebook is going to launch it soon. LinkedIn's got it going. Twitter's already got Spaces out. Like, are they going to be able to survive, or is someone else going to knock them out? Well, what happened was Blab was going, and then a couple other platforms popped up, and they're like, oh, like we can do that on our platform, and everyone's like, oh. And they went. So Blab was
the introduction, yeah.
Blab was a social media platform where you just like you followed people It kind of looked like your typical like Twitter stream, but they were live. So I can go live and I could have up to 4 people all together, and we were on screen talking just like this from your phones, and you could just, anyone in the audience could like kind of raise their hand, kind of like in Clubhouse now, raise their hand to come on to the screen, or I could ask them to, just like you can on an Instagram right now.
Mm-hmm.
And their whole thing was, there was, instead of hearts and likes and stuff, it was the blab sign, which was their praise sign and stuff. And there was a couple big creators. So this was back when I was doing my marketing stuff and coaching with entrepreneurs and stuff like that. And so I was there was like 3 or 4 shows that were pretty big creators that like they had some big names. I was like definitely like the smallest thing they ever looked at that I was jumped in on a regular basis. And one of them, I can't remember their name for life of me. He was a big like sales funnel guy, marketing guy and stuff. And he used to give all his, like, if you came on with him more than like 3 or 4 times, he'd send you a shirt. And that's why I had the shirt. So like, it's just funny when it comes up. I'm like, oh, I remember Blab. That was fun. That was like 2000. Oh, man, maybe 2013, 14-ish, 2012-ish, somewhere in there. So
I've never heard of it. I never heard of it.
It was like 6 months. It was short lived.
They were like Zoom, right? They eliminated that barrier to entry. So now Microsoft Teams and Google Meet and all these other platforms could start popping up and saying, hey, we do the same thing and you already have our services. So now just pivot to us. And I think that whole barrier to entry thing it's super fascinating for me to study and think about, especially like in schools where we're constantly talking about how slow sometimes we are to pivot in these big systems. And sometimes we need an event or something like that to just say, come on in, we got you. It's already familiar to something, and then we transition. You mentioned Clubhouse. I'm curious, like people that are watching, how many of them are in Clubhouse or utilize Clubhouse? Because it's not necessarily popular yet amongst educators, but once Facebook or Twitter starts doing it,
yeah, right, so I go back and forth with my theories there. Like you think like you didn't get on Twitter so that you could listen to audio. That's not why you go to Twitter. Like that's not why people love Twitter, because it's fast, it's short and sweet. That's why people go into Twitter. I don't know that the spaces are going to explode like they did, because I don't know if that audience has been craving audio. Maybe they have. I don't know. I think about like Twitter's what their stories right now. A lot of people use them, but not anywhere remotely near what people use on Instagram, because that's not why you go to Twitter. Right now, it might grow because video grow and stuff, but so I'm interested to see if Spaces actually grows or not. Like they've tried other things that didn't work well, and they pulled them out there, and stuff like that. So, Carly, they are working on it. They just released today. That's like they're like the number 2 thing right now. They're actually starting to launch some beta testing for Android, so that's coming. And it actually is pretty, like in the grand scheme of educators, it's actually like it's pretty massive. Like there was just actually the weekend of our 12-hour live, there was a 4-day worldwide. They literally had educators from almost every country. They had every single continent. It started off they were going to go for like 8 or 12 hours, and they ended up going for like 72. Raphael, a buddy of mine, is actually one of the guys that like put that whole thing together and stuff. And they had educators from literally all over the world. They had like 23 languages covered. Like it was nuts. And those were all educators. So, and those rooms were full all across those 4 days. So, and they had like 15, 20 rooms going at once, and it was crazy. So there's a lot of educators on there.
Do you see it being used by classroom teachers? Because like, I know you have your room that you open up on Thursdays, and it's a lot of edu leaders or coaches, consultants, things like that.
It's edupreneurs. Yeah. I don't know, because and that sort of thing is like there's so many places right now that you already do that, like as far as with your students. I don't know. Clubhouse blew up for the same reason every social media blows up, because marketers found it.
Yeah,
that's why things get blown up. That's why things get ruined, because that's what marketers do. But like that's why I know Ray's like I put myself in that category too, right? But like that's why it blew up, right? And because they market really well because of exclusivity, and it was in the middle of a pandemic. So it was a different way of connecting. There was something new, and that's how they. They were able to get the cool kids in.
I'm looking at a cool kid down below right now. A cool kid to my right now, and I mean it does speak to that. People want to be where the cool kids are,
and that was part of the reason why it was. It was. By the way, can I just note how good she was? She already had the background ready for herself to come into. So
I I'm the CMO,
Ooh.
so I know marketing.
That's true. That's a good point.
Ray, do you use Clubhouse?
Okay. I don't.
No.
And here's what I want to
We're
clarify.
going to together, though. Go ahead.
Yeah, I really want to clarify. I actually have a summer goal for myself to get into Clubhouse as of June 8th. But I have been so overwhelmed this semester. I've been talking to Jeff. I cannot take it on, but I'm interested. I have the app on my phone.
Yeah.
We're trying it in May. We're doing something in May, aren't we?
Yeah. So on So on May 25th, we are going to be in Clubhouse, Chad, Ray, and I with Joe Paluzzi. And if you don't know Joe Paluzzi, he is they call him the godfather of content marketing. So I have his books there. So much of what he preaches is how we built the entire thing of Teach Better, which is the Content Inc. model of creating valuable content. And Joe actually is putting out a second edition of an updated revision of his Content Inc., which is a New York Times bestseller multiple times over. And he actually uses Teach Better as a case study in that. And so he is doing a Clubhouse book tour through May. And on the 25th, which is actually the day that the book actually releases officially on Amazon, the three of us are with him. And we're doing it's 30 minutes of him just talking with us about how we built things and how we do things. And then 30 minutes of the audience asking questions if there's anybody there that wants to ask questions or not. So that's fun. So she has to be in for that one. So she's going to have to do Clubhouse for that. I got really into it right off the bat, and not right off the bat. After a little bit, and I studied for a while, and then I started listening for a while. Then I was in a lot of rooms. I was doing it, and honestly, it was pulling so much time that there's a lot of value there. And as an educator, there's a ton of value there too. I think our friend Monica Burns describes it really well. It's kind of like being in a conference, and Clubhouse is listening too, because they changed the all rooms or the stream to hallway, because that's what it is. It's like you're browsing through, and you're able to pop into any conference session going on at any time, whatever that's going on right there, and you can pop in and listen, and you can quietly leave and bounce out if you want to. And so if you follow the right people and you're involved, you can jump in and grab a lot of I'll throw that on in my car as I'm driving, like it's a podcast.
Yeah, Dave,
I'll find a room and I'll just listen to them talking.
Dave, let's set a goal this summer. You and I are going to dabble a little bit this summer at some point.
Ray,
Okay.
I think we should actually do I'll talk to you later about it, because I was about to give something away. When we do something else, when we do something else that we're going to do later, I think we should just be in Clubhouse live at the same time.
I already am with you on that.
It's good stuff. So,
yeah.
Just to clarify, gentlemen, first of all, horrible job on Brain Break. There was too much serious conversation.
Thank you.
Second of all, I'm here to officially.
I want to make sure that you're just talking about the task, not the people, right? You're just giving feedback on the out. Oh man, okay.
The task.
She's a little hesitant.
Right now.
She waited.
Mm-hmm. And then I also am here to kick you out, because I don't know if you know this, but we're going live in 5 minutes to celebrate teachers.
7 minutes.
We're 5 minutes.
We are?
Oh, it is 5. Oh, I'm looking at our time we've been on, but we started late, huh? So it is 5 minutes. Are you just going to stay on this stream? You have to start a new stream, huh?
No, it's a new stream, and I'm joining. I'm going to hang out with Mandy Freilich, and I'm really excited. But I wanted to make sure that you guys knew that you're getting like the
we got to jump out. So if anybody has watched, some people do that. If anybody wants a Clubhouse invite, message me, because I've got a whole bunch that I can give you, but I need your phone number, because that's how they do it. So I'm happy to invite everyone, because I'll be there tomorrow. Mastery Chat tomorrow night. Sorry, Teach Better Chat tomorrow night. We're using both hashtags though. 9:00 Eastern. Who's got tomorrow? I have it up.
I feel like you're nervous right now, Jeff. That Ray's watching
tomorrow.
Here. You got to get him right.
Bruce Riker's on. We're talking media creation, so that's tomorrow night, 8:00. Recap after that with, is it Chad? I think. What else we got? Oh, Facebook event, May 14th. And Ray's here. Ray, give us the 2-second version of the Facebook event on May 14th, because I don't know much going on, because I'm like not even invited.
PD, hangout, fun games, breakout rooms. Done.
Fun and learning all combined. That's awesome.
Yeah,
and Chad Ostrowski somewhere, right?
Chad is doing the opening welcoming message. MCing the entire event is Dave and Josh, and then I get to close it out.
Wow.
I know.
I'm gonna come.
You should come.
I should come. I'm gonna come. David, you going?
By the way, is only available in the private Facebook group. So you need to
yes, it'll be in the private Facebook.
to do that.
Yes. Awesome. All right, we got to go, Dave, because Ray's got to bring
girls'
on
night
amazing
here. Yeah.
man.
Okay.
So stay where we are. Just like as we go, as this stream ends, just refresh the page a few times, and the new stream will pop up, and you got Ray and Mandy, which is way better than Dave and I. So appreciate you.
Not you, Dave. I mean, you're
No. It is
Me.
You're better than Jeff. Mandy's better than me. It's all good.
Yeah. So anyway, I won't argue that. All right. Appreciate y'all. We'll see you guys. Ray will see you in like 3 minutes. See ya.